Boom. What's up, guys? We are live. Oh, wait. I don't have my microphone on. That's an issue. We are live. Didn't have my microphone on. Yeah, that can be a little problematic. All right, guys. So we got Caduceus from the Vital Message joining us, and this is going to be, I guess, a part 2/part 3 to our little epic YouTube drama /saga /debate /discussion /whatever. But first, let's all get pumped up by listening to our new trailer. How do you feel about big dicks? We got Sarah J on the casting couch.
Yes.
She's never done this before.
You are allowed to have sex with other girls, but she's not. Fuck that shit.
What are some of the biggest mistakes you personally experienced?
Shoulder fuckers.
All right, we are back. All right, so let's start off with a little bit of an introduction. So you want to tell the guys a little bit about yourself and your channel, Caduceus?
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, Alex. My channel is The Vital Message. I come from the Blackpill sector of YouTube. My channel is more about bringing people on for interviews, providing their perspectives and what they did to deal with their perspectives. And if that resonates with any viewers, they can apply that, test it in their own lives, and see if it will work for them. So it's kind of the idea of giving guys that might feel trapped some options moving forward.
Okay. Fair enough. So let's be respectful, Caduceus. He is the guy that called me out on the fake infield, but the fact that he's willing to come on here and have this discussion does earn him a level of respect from me, because a lot of people aren't willing to do that. We did actually a pretty long podcast on his channel. I thought it was actually a really good podcast. We went for about 3 hours. It was
a long time, man. And respect to you for sticking around for that long, answering all those questions. You didn't have to stay that long, and you did.
Yeah, no, it was a good time. I enjoy answering questions, and I enjoy I don't even mind people challenging me and stuff like that. I kind of get a kick out of it. What I did find kind of interesting, and this is what I kind of want to start off by discussing, is that as soon as I left the stream, so I was watching it later, the shit talking begins.
Oh yeah. That's kind of how it is. We reflect upon what happens. We respect you for coming on. Like, I'd be like, hey, what do you think about that? I want to get more voices in. The chat was people were backstage. It was a good night. You drew in a lot of viewers, and you provided a lot of value for the stream. So I respect that.
Yeah, it's not a criticism towards you necessarily, because you basically said what you want, what was on your mind to me, which I respect. But all the other guys, I don't know, man. Like, to me, I found it weird that I was on for 3 hours, and like all those guys could have come on and been like, hey man, I think blah blah blah, like, while I was on, right? It wasn't like there was any limits. But then they waited until I got off, and then as soon as I got off, they actually waited to speak their mind. It kind of reminded me of the movie Mean Girls, where like they're all nice to your face, and then as soon as Lindsay Lohan's not around, he's just like, oh, she's a bitch, that fucking fat cunt.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, it's kind of like every community. You're gonna have your stands here and there that want to like vent but don't want to do it to you and have any pushback. I see it in a lot of communities.
Really? I don't see it in my community, honestly.
I mean, your guys have a chance to go on my show if they want to, so you're welcome.
No. I mean, I'm saying that I think, like, for example, you're going to leave about an hour from now, right? We kind of talked about this offline, and I'm probably going to stay on for a little bit longer. But
cool.
Once you leave, we're not going to like talk shit about you. Like, everything I want to say to you, I'm going to say to you during the stream. I'm not going to wait until you leave to be like, oh, by the way, Caduceus is a blah, 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 blah. Like, that's just not something I would ever do, because that's just like super catty, in my opinion.
I mean, if you do it, it doesn't matter. Like, you have free reign if you
We're
want.
Not going to. I mean, we can't. I understand we have the option to do too, but okay. Anyway, let's move past that. So I want to, I was kind of watching the rest of the stream, and there's a few things that were brought up that I kind of want to challenge you on.
And, yeah.
I want to get like some good answers to this. So the first one is this. This is a quote. PUAs can't give you a straight answer, and this was mentioned multiple times after I left. So I'm curious, during those 3 hours, what exactly did I not answer directly?
Was it my quote right there?
That was not your quote. You kind of just like low key agreed with it.
Well, I don't want to speak for another guy. I don't want to white knight for him. But about that idea, I think the main criticism of that, like I wasn't pushing you back on that because I don't want to misrepresent this guy's argument. But I think it was more like if there was a yes or no question, it would be a long story because you're trying to illustrate your point. I don't criticize that as a bad thing, and that was just their perspective of it. But I don't want to white knight for these guys.
Okay, so this is not something you agree with. So you felt like I gave straight answers.
I think you could have been more concise, but I think you answered the questions.
Okay, yeah,
I think you did answer the questions. I'll be clear on that.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, I don't want this narrative to be floating around that I'm like dodging questions or something like that, because that.
Yeah, you stayed on for 3.5 hours. So like, even if you like circled around, you still got to it.
All right. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. This is a quote directly from you. So this one I think you have to address.
Yeah, let's do it.
You can't push me on anything because I devoid myself from all responsibility. Me being, you can't push Alex on anything. Me being, me.
Hold on. Devoid myself on all. Oh, about you? Okay.
Yeah. So
about this is like when you say that about the comments saying that, oh, that's my employee that did that. So you were kind of like playing it off as if it's still not your responsibility.
Okay.
Even though it's your company.
Yeah. So let's actually expand on that. So there's two comments in question. The first one is a comment about my infield, and one of my employees said that there's no jump cuts, and there turned out to be jump cuts. That's the first one. The second one was about Liz having a medical procedure. So we're talking about a chick who's in no way related to me or my brand, about something that's extremely random, like her medical fucking history.
Yeah.
So those are the two comments. Was there more, or was it just those two things?
Well, I can illustrate the point with those two comments.
Go ahead.
For one, you owned up to the infield having jump cuts, and the comment saying that it was an uncut infield. So we'll address that. The second point is you said that you did not know Liz's medical history. You did not know. Wait, what'd you say?
I don't. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah. So why is the Playing with Fire account making claims that they know the medical history and that the surgical scar is an appendectomy scar?
Okay, so
the people in the comments.
So there's probably half a dozen of people that work for Playing with Fire. We have a team. I don't do all the comments. I do a very small percentage of the comments. We have, during the course of this channel, probably have tens of thousands of comments that we've done. Tens of thousands. It's a huge amount. Right. So I'm sure the person who was answering it, I don't even know who it was, honestly, thought that maybe they had some information that I personally wasn't privy to, because maybe they have their own relationship with John. Maybe they made an assumption. I don't really know. I'm not really sure why they did that. But the point is that there's a huge difference between someone being incorrect about something and someone lying about something. So, for example,
I didn't say he lied about that. I just said that he was he's saying things that he doesn't know the answer to.
Right. But so for example, if you are, if you're staying over at my house and I'm like, yo, man, can you grab you're like, hey, where's the beer? I'm like, oh, it's in the fridge. And you go to the fridge and turns out the beer is in like the counter next by. I'm not lying to you. I was just wrong. Right. So it would.
Yeah. In that case, you're wrong. Like,
wouldn't it make sense that out of tens of thousands of comments, we would be wrong about a few trivial things?
No, I'm saying that it's not a problem to be wrong from time to time. It just will reflect poorly if you're consistently wrong.
But this is two examples of me out of 10,000. So this is not consistent.
Well, I don't know how many comments you do, and I don't know whether it's you, your teammate, or whatever. When I see the limited amount of comments I have, it's gonna leave an impression, and that's your branding and marketing. And this is kind of like suggestions for you to have consistency, because this reflects upon you, even if it isn't you.
But this is two comments. Again, this is two.
Yeah, but I haven't seen 10,000 comments from you. I've seen let's say I've seen 50 comments from you.
I mean, you must have seen a good amount, because in order to find that random comment, you must have done a shitload of looking into my comments and all that stuff.
Well, someone sent it to me and said it was cap. That's what someone sent it to me.
So wouldn't it be a logical assumption to assume that if there was a lot more shit that I was wrong about, that a lot more people would be sending you stuff in?
I mean, that's possible, but again, it's kind of about it's kind of you protecting your brand and what you do. And I think if I had someone spreading lies, for example, I had some mods that were deleting comments.
Hang on, lies. You use the word lies. Again, we're talking about things I was incorrect.
Well, okay, let's say wrong, like incorrect statements. Let's say that incorrect statements.
Right.
Yeah, you're right to correct me and say lies there, not lies, incorrect statements. Ideally, you'd want to have the facts out in your comments, and if you're proven wrong, you can amend it, which you have done in the past. But about an example what reflect poorly on me. I had a couple mods that were deleting comments and were banning people in my chats, and I trimmed down on the mods recently. So like, has there been any actionable things that you've done since having these incorrect comments?
Yeah, I said to my team in our group chat, don't comment on things that you don't have a clear answer to, especially when it doesn't involve our brand. Because Liz is in no way related to playing with fire, so there's nothing that can be gained by us commenting on that. It's a situation where we can only lose, but we can't gain. So I told them to avoid commenting on things that don't involve us directly, unless they're 100% like sure of the answer. I mean, to me,
I commend you on that.
I mean, to me, it was like insanely trivial because, again, she's not related to us. It's a medical procedure. It's like the most trivial thing. But I guess the grander point that I want to make is, again, you're saying you can't push me anything because I devoid myself from all responsibility. And this is not me devoiding myself from all responsibility. This is literally 2 comments that I said that I didn't make. So, like, for example, this is ironic because when
throw it out.
When you had your whole thing with your StreamYard, whatever that you need to, that we did a takedown, and then you need to get your video back.
Well, I
took full responsibility for that.
You did take full responsibility for that, but it doesn't undo what you did to, because like, here's the thing. If you want to get into that specific Infield, since that's what I think we're leading to, correct?
No, I was just generally making a point. I mean, we can get into that too.
No, I do think that that's a good choice on your end. And I'm not going to take that away from you. You doing that. You're trying to right a wrong. But again, that video was when I had it for free and it's not backed up, unfortunately. So I'm not going to force you to. I would take the money if I figured out a way to make it anonymous. But I'm not going to say that you backed out or anything and did anything shady because you actually offered to pay.
Right. I just find it ironic that you accuse me of devoiding myself from all responsibility when literally, like, the one thing that does affect you directly, I took full responsibility for.
Well, maybe we're talking semantics here, and I used an absolute when I should have said avoid responsibility in this case.
Avoid responsibility about 2 random comments on YouTube.
I mean, hey, if you think it's small potatoes, it's small potatoes, and you can tell me to fuck off.
I mean, do you not think the listing is small potatoes?
Well, here's the thing about it, though. You're promoting stuff from John Anthony, you're promoting him as game, and there's evidence that his main girl, like, there's not hard evidence, but there is some inklings to suggest that his main girl has a certain history. But let's not talk about John on this show, because you are connected to his brand because you're saying, oh, this is a tip he has that I'm adapting here. And what does John's game lead to? But let's not talk about John, and let's talk about us, because Liz doesn't have to do with you directly, but you are closely associated with John Anthony lifestyle.
Right. Okay. I mean, if we're on this topic, this is the one point I bring on this. I found it pretty odd that after I got off the stream, you guys spent 15 minutes doing a medical diagram of Liz's stomach and scars, trying to dissect whether she has any kind of, what her operational history is. Because look, I'm a big fan of calling people out when they're wrong, but this is just bizarre behavior, bro, like, in all honesty.
Well, if you think it's bizarre, it's more about the claim that comes from the camp. Like, I'm sure that people who wrote that comment saying it was an appy either was through John or it was through one of your people. So addressing that comment, I just said it's likely not an appy. It's likely something else. If it's an appy, it would be this scar, probably. If it's or it would be a laparoscopy. If it was an exploratory laparotomy, it probably would have been that midline scar, but would have been above the umbilicus. In other ways, it was a Spurg investigation, I'll admit, but it had a point to it.
I mean, yeah, dude, like, again, like, you don't think it's bizarre to spend like 10, 15 minutes doing like medical drawings and stuff about,
I study medicine. I study medicine, and that's going to be my trade. So
sure, maybe doing it privately.
It's something I'm interested in.
Sure.
In that
okay.
Way. And,
privately, but on a stream with a bunch of people.
I could do what I want, and you could do what you want.
You're welcome to do what you want. I'm not saying you can't.
If you think it's strange, you can think it's strange.
The grander point I'm making is I feel like you guys have like this really obsession with catching people in lies. And again, a little skepticism is good, but it's like when you're so obsessed with like catching someone in a lie, it just becomes like a little bizarre, don't you think?
Let's explore that. How am I obsessed?
Well, the whole thing about spending 15 minutes doing medical drawings about John's girlfriend's body and analyzing her medical history, like, look, you can speculate that she's a low key single mom, whatever. But like when you get into to that extent, like that just becomes really bizarre, man. Like when you're just like nitpicking to such a crazy extent, like looking for any kind of possible inconsistency, then you're like basically like like the flat earthers who's like thinks everything's a conspiracy.
So
Like,
okay, so let's go on with that flat Earth idea. The flat Earth thing says that the status quo is that we're getting the truth from you guys. That you guys are always honest, and everything you say is the most likely, most believable evidence. When we're on the internet, where we have guys like Prank Invasion, they're getting the guys, they're paying people to kiss them. We got other fake infields that you guys have graciously called out, because I think that's good work that you and John have done.
yeah.
So like if the kind of standard on the internet is fakery, why should we take your word from it straight from the beginning?
No, I'm not saying you have to, but I think there's a healthy balance. Like I think I do a pretty good job of this. I call out people all the time, right? But I think that when you become like when that's your whole thing is catching people in lies and calling people out and just nitpicking little things, that's when it becomes like a little skepticism.
Well, I suggest you watch
too much-
other parts of my channel.
I have.
So like when I have Grover on talking about business and traveling around, is that catching people in lies?
No, that's not. I'm just saying in that example where you guys were just like going down to like
so how is it obsession every time? If like obsession would be like every bit of my content, like a Chem123 type of guy with QB Willie always saying that, oh, QB Willie, hop on the stream. I got this kind of thing. Like it's not like that.
Well, I mean, I think okay. Like,
and of course there's layers to it, and you might perceive it that way, and I might not be able to convince you of that, but that's okay.
I mean, I think one thing that you do got to own up to, I don't know if you're going to want to or not, is that when you bring up pickup guys on your channel, like me or Kevin, I guess he's not really a pickup guy, but he's in that category. The goal is not to have like an honest interview or whatever, but you are trying to catch us in inconsistencies and lies. Like I think that
you come on knowing my bias to begin with. You know my bias is that I think you don't need to teach games. So my questions are going to be pointed in that way. You knew who I was from the very beginning.
I'm not saying I felt deceived. What I'm saying is that you can't claim to be an objective channel where
I didn't say I was an objective channel though. I'm biased.
Okay, as long as you admit you're biased, okay, that's fine.
Everyone's biased, man, and I'm biased against game, and I'll admit that.
Okay, as long as you admit it, okay, that's fine.
There you go.
It's just in the beginning when you did the introduction, you were kind of making it seem like, yeah, we just bring people on and just give people different ideas. But
well, yeah, and a lot of people in the chat are going to be on my side, on my perspective. So
right,
like, but it's going to be it's because they're my audience. The same thing when I go on your show, they're not going to hear some of the legitimate concerns I have, and they're going to think I'm nitpicking. Well, for other people, it won't be small potatoes. It's just kind of I know what I'm walking into when I go on to a stream.
Yes. But I think that there's a difference between the way I do it and the way you do it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we're different people.
Right. Well, aside from that, I would say that I would definitely say that my interview style is a lot more objective than the way a lot of the Blackpillers do it, because my goal is not to catch vast majority of the guests I have on my channel in a lie, unless it's someone who I have some kind of a history with, and that's a very small percentage of people who I bring on. Most of the time, it is an objective interview to get to the bottom of their beliefs. They have an implicit bias, but it's not a conscious bias. Versus, I think that for you guys, the goal is to catch, like, yeah, let's fucking catch these PUAs. They're all fucking scammers.
Wait,
all
you want my assessment of your channel?
Go ahead.
You mentioned that you want to go mainstream. I think that's possible for you. I'll be honest with you. I think that's possible for you, but I think the best move is without the PUA stuff.
I think that's a fair point. I'm not even disagreeing with you on that.
Because I liked your interview with Sean Atwood. That was a great interview.
The funny thing is no one actually watched that.
Hey, watch the video with Sean Atwood. Like,
it was a good one. I like
that's something about YouTube, man. If there's nothing about like pussy or something like that, people just don't watch. It's funny in the men's side of the community.
Yeah.
because I really like that video. I want to shout that out. After this stream, watch that video.
It was a good one for sure. All right, so let's move on to the next point. So, this is not directly towards you, but I guess maybe you can address it anyway. So, there was a guy that came on the stream afterwards and was saying, "Oh, bro, like I just don't understand. There was no secret sauce. I was waiting for the magic, and there was no magic. Like I was waiting for the magic secret sauce that will allow a 4 to get an 8." And I feel like this is an idea that's popular in the Blackpill community that relies on a complete incorrect assumption of game. Like, there's no magic line or magic technique or magic things. None of that stuff exists. This is all about a series of small optimizations that will, add up over time, especially if you do a whole bunch of them. Not about giving like a magic liner. So you didn't actually directly say this, but this guy did, so I felt like I should address it. I don't know if you have any comments on that.
Yeah, I have some comments on that. When you were on my show, I asked you about scope of practice, and you gave a solid answer on that. I asked you about what you thought you could do, and you gave a solid answer on that. And then his stance is just kind of how he sees PUAs. He might have missed that part of the stream or whatever. I don't want to white knight for this guy.
Well, you if you believe him, you can stand up.
I don't believe him in this case because you explained your stances.
Okay.
I didn't know your stance before that stream, and you said I think this. The bigger question for the person listening is like, is this something I want to subscribe to? And I'm sure there were a couple people that aligned with your thoughts, and we'll take that.
Yeah, I got like 2 subscribers.
Hey, that's good, man. Hey, that's pretty good. My channel has only got 238 subs, so you getting 2 from that is pretty good.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's move on to the next thing because this is more related to you. So the proof of burden thing. So you were making the argument that, and let me kind of expand on this.
I'll let you explain it, and then I'll come back.
Okay, you're making the argument. Well, Alex is the one that has the proof of burden because he's the one, because the null hypothesis is that game doesn't work, and he's the one that's claiming that he has a product that works. This is some incorrect logic on your part, because what's going on is that you're claiming that either my shit doesn't work, my infield is fake, or that my my testimony isn't sufficient, right? So the proof of burden is at this point on you to prove why my product is fake or why my infield is fake. It's not on me, it's on you at this point, because you're the one that's claiming that it doesn't work, that it's fake.
Okay, and it's burden of proof right here. And I think you have a fallacious stance that you're already established that your stuff works, and I'm have to disprove it. You have not established that your stuff is legitimate from the beginning. And I'm only talking about one infield, that Nitin one. That's the only one I've seen. That's the only thing I'm saying looks fake. That's the only one that I'm saying looks fake. I haven't looked at any other ones, and I'll give you my reasoning for it. There are the presence of the jump cuts. Then you said that from the future, you said that the battery died twice. I thought that was suspect. The other piece, the body language. That chick did not look attracted to him based off of my comparing notes with my personal experience with women that have been attracted with me. That woman did not look attracted. The next piece, you were flagging reaction videos to it, and you have owned up to it since then and have made a stance that you won't flag videos again, but you still flagged it.
Well, it sounds like not me. Someone on my team did.
Well, the Playing with Fire team did. And then next, the inconsistencies with the comments saying that this is an uncut infield when someone criticizes it. And then you have made a stance that you say, hey, don't post stuff that you don't know. And I think that instead of the best way to address these, if you want to, because you might want to pivot away from the PUA pickup stuff anyway. If you want to, if you have the raw footage, release that or replace it with uncut footage. And I think John Anthony gave you a good suggestion about the battery thing, because he says if the battery dies, he scraps the footage, and he bought some Japanese batteries that last an hour and a half or something like that.
Okay, let's we're gonna go through all these points. The first thing I want to go back to the proof of burden thing again. You're claiming that the infield, that piece of infield, is fake. You can't.
I say that it looks fake to me.
Okay, it looks fake. Okay, whatever. You can't at that point say the proof of burden is on me, because you're the one that's claiming that it's fake or that it looks fake.
Well, you're making a fallacious assumption that everyone just assumes yours is real. Your stance only works is if every single infield on the internet is real. That's the base assumption you are making when you say that the burden of proof is on me.
No, because I have something that's
Well, I provided some options that don't meet the sufficient level. So here's the thing: in order to reject the null hypothesis, you have to provide sufficient evidence that the null hypothesis, that the results you have are significant and aren't due to other factors.
but
I
the
just gave a bunch of other factors that could contribute to getting the different result that aren't due to the claim that you make. The whole point of the infield is to prove that Nitin has this game that he's promoting. I did not find evidence in that infield suggesting that. That's the point I'm making.
So all the arguments you make, you're providing basically, then you're providing some proof why it's fake or why it looks.
Well, this is why it looks fake to me, and you have to have. And I would say,
but then you can't say.
I'm saying that we can't have a full assessment until you have the raw footage or a different set of footage.
Okay. Well, I have a whole bunch of infield on my channel that doesn't have any cuts in it.
Well, I'm talking about this one video.
Okay. Well,
I think you're conflating it as if I'm saying your whole channel is a lie, and that's not what I said.
No, you're making the argument that this one infield is fake.
I'm saying it looks fake. Yes.
Okay. It looks fake, is fake, same shit. Okay. So I'm not gonna get.
I'm saying it looks fake, and like what you do with it, whether you take the feedback or not, is up to you. Like it's going to look fake to other people, and only people that are going to have, if you're going to double down on the cognitive dissonance that everything I'm saying is small potatoes, you're only going to pigeonhole yourself with people that fuck with you right now.
No, I'm not saying that is small potatoes. What I'm saying that small potatoes is me commenting about Mez's or someone on my team commenting about Liz's medical procedure. But okay, let's
this topic. Yes.
Right, because there's literally only two things. You make it seem like there's a whole bunch of things you found, like a whole bunch of inconsistencies.
Well, here's the thing, though. Like if a customer comes up and maybe like sees that infield and they're like, "Oh, there's jump cuts here. Like anything could happen there." That's what he's gonna think. I'm gonna go save my money even though like the product could have been good for me. Like if there's a bad ad or if there's a bad advertisement that doesn't work or hinder things, the company's gonna take it down.
But bro, don't hide behind this idea of a potential customer, because the goal is clearly not to help me. Because if the goal was to help me, you would have told me this offline. So like, just a call, just own it.
Well, here's the thing. I will admit that I was upset to begin with because you flagged multiple videos, including the one on my channel and the other one, and you have since went there. It doesn't undo that. It's like it sounds like you're trying to remove dissent when you do something like that, and you have owned up to it and claim that you won't do it again. But it doesn't undo the past.
I mean, no one's channel got taken down. There's no harm that was done. Okay, so let me explain that for my audience. So what happened was there was some video. So this infield wasn't even of me. It was of Indian P.
Yes.
Indian P has a tech job that he's worried about. You know, he's for obvious reasons. And there was some videos where basically they just took that infield. I think it was from what I saw, the videos that I saw were out of context, and also like it was cut in a very deceptive way to make it look worse than it was. From what I saw, the videos that I saw that were flagged, there was no commentary. It wasn't transformative, and that is why YouTube actually took action on it, and the DMCA takedown or not DMCA, the copyright takedown actually worked, right? Because if it was transformative, then the copyright takedown wouldn't have worked. But however, I still think that he was wrong to do that, even if it is deceptively cut, even if it is taken out.
That's a good question. Is deceptively cutting something into making a meme and adding little funny reaction clips to it, is that not transformative?
According to YouTube, it wasn't, because
YouTube has a million videos getting flagged all the time, and they could just hit the auto flag and then wait for appeals. Like you're critical of Fresh and Fit abusing the copyright system, and that's something that's in your closet too.
Right. Well, that was done without my consent, without my knowledge, and since then I told my team not to do any more takedowns, no matter what the video is. So that again, it was an honest mistake. Like to make it seem
but it's not going to be people aren't going to give you the benefit of the doubt every time, especially when they just meet you, especially when it's a first impression.
The thing is that you keep arguing as like the people, but honestly, the vast majority of the people, like if you look at the video that I did yesterday about, Blackpill calls me, which is you in this case, calls me my infield fake, like 99.9% of the comments were on my side. So don't make it seem like it's about the people.
Well, we have our own little bubbles here. My channel's a bubble. Your channel's a bubble.
Right,
We're
but
just
it's like
addressing.
it's like you and 5 other black pillars who are saying that it's fake. It's not like all of YouTube is calling out my infield as fake.
No, because all of YouTube isn't messing with you.
Right, but I'm just saying, don't make it seem like it's about the people or you're trying to do some public service. Just own up to the fact that
I'm just saying, like, this is the lens that I see it from, and this is why I think it. Like, let's just replace the people with myself.
Okay, there we go.
In that way, if that makes this discussion a little bit easier.
Well, I think it makes it more genuine.
Okay, if it makes it more genuine, sure.
Okay.
There.
Okay, so you mentioned, okay, so now we're going to go back into the initial thing. So you mentioned releasing the full video. I'm actually going to look for that. And if we have it, we will release the whole thing. I don't know if we will, because this was...
Oh, if you have it, that would be awesome. I hate to sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're good. It was about like 8 months ago, honestly, where this was released. So I don't know if the only chance we have is that it's backed up on our Google Drive. So I would say it's like a 50-50 whether we have it or not. But if we do, we will release it. I still think some black pillars will say it's fake, even if I do release it, but we will release it.
Yeah, like off of body language, I don't think it's genuine, but like at least people can assess for themselves instead of having the Sony Vegas edits in.
But this is the one thing I don't understand. I don't want to keep bringing this up over and over again, but it sounds like you're pretty convinced that it's not genuine because you gave multiple reasons: the body language, this and that. Like, you're pretty convinced. And I made, I think, what was a very reasonable offer where I said I will give you $10,000.
Oh, perfect.
If I'm proven wrong, right? But
well, I'll give you my reasoning why not do a poly.
Well, let me just finish so people understand the offer. And then if I'm proven correct, then you basically reimburse me the cost of the test, which will be like $500, and you publicly acknowledge that you were wrong, which I think was a very, very, very reasonable offer. So
well, okay. I'll tell you why it's not.
Okay.
It doesn't work for me.
Okay, go ahead.
Like, the whole point of it is that the infield didn't have evidence for me to suggest it was real, and we're going to keep it within the infield. Next,
wait, say that again.
I would say next, it's with the infield. Hold on. The whole idea is that the evidence is you're trying to convince me that that Nitin had game in the video. That's the whole point of it. First, that could you could have that. There's nothing in the footage to say that if you're looking within the text. Next, a polygraph is 80 to 90% accurate. A human with no context of the situation would be 55% accurate. It is not sufficient in a court of law, so it wouldn't be sufficient in this case.
But this is not a court of law.
But here's the thing, though: there's still enough wiggle room here. There's still doubt. It's not gonna put things to rest. Is the point I'm making. Next here, for me to make this, the whole crux of this thing is I don't trust you. Why would I trust you to do it remotely the way I want it done? I would have to go release my anonymity and go supervise this myself in Miami. And I got my classes where I spend about $1,000 a week to go to class. So it's not worth my time investment nor my energy.
Well, you would only release your anonymity to me, and I think it's.
Do you think I trust you?
I mean, do you really think I'm going to dox you, dude? Like,
I mean, you're hanging out with JAL, man.
I've done interviews with hundreds, thousands of people. Like, who have I ever doxed on my channel?
You haven't doxed, but you hang out with doxers, man. I gotta be safe, man. I don't share my identity with people that fuck with me. I'm not going to share my identity with you.
I mean, the idea that I would dox you is just like bizarre. Like, it's literally like, I don't know what. Like,
it's a contingency plan, man. I don't think you would, but
there's like zero chance I would. Like, even if you're a massive asshole to me, like, dude, fucking Chronic. I don't like that guy. People send me his true identity. I haven't done anything with it, nor am I going to. And him, I
look
just,
like what have you done to make me trust you in that to that level, though?
What have I done to make you distrust you besides be wrong about two?
So I should just trust random people off the internet.
I mean, I'm not a random person off the internet. I'm a person who has a lot to lose. I have 95,000 or coming up on 95,000 subscribers. If I publicly say, "Hey, I'm not going to dox you," I dox you. That would probably be the end of my
Yeah, but I still don't trust. You could send it to someone else to dox me.
Okay,
like, it's a possibility.
I guess theoretically could happen. All I will say is this. If there was, like you mentioned during the stream, is that you were like 70% sure that it was, it wasn't real or whatever. If I was in a situation where I thought that you were 70, there was a 70% chance you were wrong about something, and I stood to gain $10,000, and my cost for playing was $500 from mathematics.
Well, your cost for playing is your anonymity, which people can call up my place or go after my family or or at that point, my career, the path I'm going to, that could be sacrificing millions of dollars. So,
I
like,
mean,
is that?
there's a grand total of 0% chance I would ever dox you.
Well, I don't know that. Is the thing.
I mean, you can make that argument about anything that, like, oh, I don't know that. I don't know.
I'm saying I don't know that.
See, this is
the
my
answer.
this
That's
is
the answer to my question. I don't know that about
this,
you.
this
I don't.
is
The
this,
whole crux of this is I don't trust you, and you're asking me to trust you to make this happen.
no. I'm asking you to put your money where your mouth is. That's what I'm asking you.
Which involves me having to trust you.
This is my issue. One of my issues with the Blackpill community is this extreme skepticism, like this over skepticism, this idea that everything is fake and everyone is out there to fuck you over.
Well, the status quo of the internet is fake. Like Sturgeon's law is like most things are shit, and you have to sift through it to figure out the good stuff. And I think you have some good stuff, but I don't think the game stuff is the good part of your channel.
Okay, yeah, because you don't believe in game. But then the funny thing is that when you talk to a Blackpiller and you say, "Oh, okay, well, here's some proof that game exists. Here's a photo. Here's some Infield report." You know what they always say? They always say, "Well, it must be fake." That's the conversation.
Well, I looked into it and I thought the body language was fake, but then I wanted to present tangible things that you had to address, like jump cuts, inconsistent comments, and you address them. And if that's sufficient for the audience, we are done.
Exactly, but that's how you in your mind would dismiss it, right? Like any proof that I would show you that game is real, you would just dismiss it as fake.
Yeah, it's exactly because I don't. Well, here's the thing though, I don't believe it because of the body language.
Okay, but there's other Infield I have those with no jump cuts. So how?
Well, we're not talking about your other Infield though. You're talking about your whole channel. I'm talking about one video.
Right, but assume, like, let's just for argument's sake assume that video is fake. If my other video is unreal, then that would still prove that game exists.
I mean, your definition of game, if you do plug and play, is just strategies to get box. Like, of course, you're going to say that's real. And the argument never was game wasn't real. It's like whether you can change genuine desire. That was the argument with the Blackpill.
Well, I've heard different,
and you agreed with that.
No, I've had many Blackpillers say that they don't think game is real. Like, so you're saying you think game is real, but
I think if you're going to use game, you have to. I treat it algebraically because you said game is this, and I'll plug that in like substitution in an algebra equation, and I'll say, okay, I don't think that will change the raw desire with the woman.
Right, but you would admit that raw desire by itself doesn't mean shit because you can have a situation the girl has a lot of raw desire.
It depends on your goals. Like if you're trying to just have sex and like it doesn't matter where it comes from, like of course the raw desire isn't everything. You gotta of course set the logistics. You gotta chat there, have a place to make it happen. You gotta have all that. Like, and if you want to call that game, sure, but that doesn't change any of the attraction. Like the genuine desire.
Do you think that the attraction can be mitigated or can be destroyed with bad game or with the guy being awkward or cringy?
I think guys could make it not worth sleeping with them or spending time with them, but that they could still think the guy is like, "Ooh, I like that guy," but he's not worth all this crazy bullshit to go around with.
But so you don't think there's a situation where a girl could find the guy very attractive and then he opens his mouth and over the span of half an hour to an hour, he could just completely destroys that attraction that she has?
It destroys her desire to act upon it. So she could be like, that guy looks amazing and I like him and he looks great, but it's not worth listening to that damn voice or going around. Like it's kind of like how much you'll tolerate with someone. It's kind of like how much she's willing to tolerate based off of how you look to her.
But you don't think there's anything that the guy can do that can actually turn her off?
Well, yeah, because it's like more stuff to deal with. But if you're going to call that game, like the idea of the Blackpill is that you can't raise that. You can't take someone from I don't find you desirable to, oh my God, just fuck me now. You can't really change that dynamic.
We agree on that. I agree with that.
See, that's the thing. So you agree with the Blackpill stance on it?
No, I agree with your stance on it because I've heard so many Blackpillers say that game doesn't exist. That's the
thing, though. Like we've only heard game by the colloquial definition, where it's the guy.
No, I've defined it. You just have a much more moderate position. So I don't think your position is even that common in the Blackpill community. From what I've heard, every other Blackpiller I've talked to is game doesn't exist. There is no difference. There's no, if the girl, like, look, I gave this analogy to QB. I was like, okay, let's say you have two identical twins. They're both, good looking. One of them stands on the side of the street and just hollers at 10 girls. Just go, yo, ma, I want to fuck that ass. And the other one smoothly, confidently goes up to them and talks to them. Do you think they're going to have the same success rate? And QB thought about it for a second, said yes, because they have the same level of looks. That is the epitome of thinking.
Though I don't think, like, in that scenario, I don't think it's that drastic of a difference. Like, it's not going to be that big of a difference.
You don't think so? Okay, so okay.
I honestly think that, like,
so you think that game?
Well, it really depends on the scenario. Like, if you're out in like the fucking bank or at the coffee shop doing like, oh yo mama, that shit, yeah, that of course that's the difference. But I wouldn't call that game. Like, you're not, I mean, like, I would call it game by your definition, but the common definition that we've gotten from the media, from everything else, which I'm not going to hold you to, because that's what people do with the black pill and say that it's the black pill's nihilism. So that's something that we share, both being mischaracterized by the status quo. In this regard, like, when the black pill guys hear about game, they think of he got game. She wasn't that into him and he did all this and now she's into him. He said that, he did this, and now she's all over him. Like, that's kind of what we see. That's when we criticize the game side of it. It's kind of sold as like a magic sauce, when like you said, there is no magic sauce.
No, there's no magic sauce. Now, of course, that can happen, but it's extremely unlikely. But if you have a situation where a guy, you have 100 girls, one guy, 100 girls are not into him, and he has the best game ever, he might be able to turn around like one of those girls, right? One or two. It's extremely unlikely. It can happen, but you're playing very much against the odds in that situation. But I think that, if you have a situation where you have two identical twins, they both approach 10 girls, one of them hollers aside the street, and one of them confidently goes up to and approaches 10 girls, the results are going to be radically different. Wouldn't you say so? Especially if we're talking about during the daytime.
Well, I would say that would be radically different, because she's thinking, okay, this guy's fucking weird, but he looks good. And the other one's like, all right, he acts normal and he looks good.
Yeah.
That's kind of the difference there.
Right. But the results are different.
Yeah, I don't think that that's something really groundbreaking to teach, though, to someone.
I'm not teaching that. I'm not telling dudes to like fucking not holler the side of the road. That's like common sense. But I have to use these extreme analogies to drive the point home, because if I use subtle analogies, they will not resonate. So I have to use the more extreme analogies. So it sounds like you kind of believe in game, but you don't think it's that relevant.
I don't think you can game the raw desire. That's my take on it. Like, if people want to call it whatever actions you take, the social skills, the logistics side of it, if you want to call everything the game, go for it.
But you do think there are some things the guy can do better. Like, there are some better text to center girl and some worse text to center girl, right?
Oh, it depends on your goals right there. Yeah.
Okay, let's just assume both guys have the goal of sleeping with a girl. You would agree there's some better ways to text her and some worse ways to text her.
I wouldn't say that I know the best way for an individual, though. But I'd say yes.
I'm not saying.
I say yes, but I don't think that you would know I don't think it would take a lot of context to know like what the best thing for each person would be.
Sure, but there are some things that are just common sense, like objectively not going to work, like you blowing up her phone and sending her long messages. Like, you don't need to be a genius to figure out that's a really bad strategy, versus a guy who's more short and succinct and like witty. That's going to work a lot better than the guy who's like super long-winded and sends her essays and triple text her all the time.
I think, like, from my experience, like, it doesn't matter too much, because like if you're at the point where you're writing essays and triple texting, it's already over, bro. It's already over.
I feel like you're like dancing around.
No. Like, I don't know the answer for other people, but I'd say there's better things that I do. Like, if I'm screening for sex, I'm usually very forward right away. Just because I want to figure out if the person's actually sexually attracted to me or desires me. So I'm very sexually forward with them to screen that out.
Right. So the logical jump is that if there's
a strategy, yeah, like that's not groundbreaking. That doesn't go against my stance, though.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be groundbreaking.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be something crazy. I think for a guy who's getting laid, none of this is going to be that crazy. Like, right. Plus, we're also talking about the most basic things again, because I have to use harsh analogies to drive the point home. Okay, let's move on to the next thing. I'm going to get into I guess what I consider my issues with the black pill community, and let's just go through this one by one. But I think the biggest one is this, and I don't know why you guys do this, and I would like to get an answer. I see a lot of shaming men for trying to improve their dating results, and this is to me very similar to what feminists do. They shame men who want to like improve their game or improve their success with women, and I see this a lot. And I saw this on your stream. Like you got like, oh, like these losers want to buy a dating course. Like why do you need to shame them for wanting to do that? Like even if you think that courses are retarded, if that doesn't work, why shame them?
I want you to like add more context to the shame, because I see it more. When I see it on the stream, it's more about like these guys. Most of the guys that I think are buying these courses are in that like incel camp, a lot of them. But you say otherwise. Only you know the clients, and you said that you had some guys that just want to like have some tweaks kinked out. So that I guess I can amend that. But the idea of it, though, it seems like guys are being preyed upon, guys that aren't having the success they want, and they're kind of getting sold this solution. Hey, this PUA, probably not you, is selling this magical elixir that's going to solve all their problems, no matter your circumstances. Now, you illustrated on my stream that you have a very specific scope of practice. You set your expectations from the beginning and have declined clients in the past. So you've addressed those concerns already. It's more about these guys being preyed upon. It's not really them being shamed. It's them saying, hey, these guys are getting scammed, is kind of the sentiment of it. And
Sure.
You've already addressed those points that would counter that, I think.
But that's not the. I understand that. Sure.
Like, I don't know. I don't remember exactly when we shamed a guy for buying a course. That's more about it's more about guys who feel sorry that he bought a course.
Well, a lot of it is like the language. You guys like basically laugh at dudes who want to pay for dating courses. You call them whatever, incels or whatever.
Incel's a neutral term.
Incels, clearly it has a negative connotation.
No, incel's just a guy that can't get laid, man. There's red pill incels, there's blue pill incels, there's sexless marriage incels, there's guys that in the black pill that are incels, there's people that watch waffles that are incels. It's a neutral term.
If I called you an incel, you would take some offense to it.
I would laugh because I know it's not true.
Exactly, but it is a little bit of a derogatory term.
It definitely is loaded, but it's what they are. It's what they objectively are.
Right, but like, why? Like, you don't know the guys.
That's not a shaming language, though. Like, here's the thing: who's the type of guy that would buy a course and think that a magic solution is going to fix their dating life? Usually, a guy that doesn't have success with women. That's not a very. That doesn't take much rocket science to come to that conclusion.
Right, but why shame them for wanting to improve?
I don't think being an incel is shaming. I don't think that validation from women makes you any less of a man or any more of a man than someone else.
But you guys just dismiss them because you don't agree with what they're doing.
What do you mean? Like
you're just like, oh, these, like, you guys laugh at them. You're like, these guys are losers. Like these guys.
I disagree with that assessment.
You do?
I disagree with that assessment. That's the impression you got, but I don't think we're shaming the incels. I think the incels are incels, and these guys are getting scammed.
I don't think you're shaming the incels as a whole. I think you're shaming guys who want to improve their dating success and guys who believe in game and guys who buy dating courses. I do think that you guys shame them. And if you think my categorization is wrong, I encourage you to rewatch the stream after I left.
Yeah, I think it's an opinion you hold and you can hold it. That's how I see it.
Right, but it's not an unreasonable opinion. I think pretty much anyone else who watches that will come to that same conclusion. Is that
this is the first time I heard this critique, and I'm happy you brought it up. We'll try not to shame as much. We'll be considerate if our language might come off as shaming. I appreciate the feedback.
Okay, all right. Then the other thing that I want to bring up is this is my other issue with the Blackpill community is the fear mongering. I'm not a fan of fear mongering. Now I think telling guys about realistic issues that they might encounter, that's a good thing. But when you paint the picture that every other chick is just going to fucking press charges on you, that creates a very bad mindset for guys to have. When you make it seem that approaching women is like some dangerous blood sport that has like a 30% mortality rate, I don't think you're doing them a good service. I think you're doing
I think you might want to talk to more specifics on that. I tell guys to view themselves objectively, look at the laws, their own situation. Don't let me tell you it's over for you. Let someone else tell you it's over for you, or what expectations you can have. Take the feedback from the world and act objectively. My stance on that, though, I think screening for that desire is more important in the current age, because these things are possibilities, because they're rarities, but they're possibilities. That's why I pushed you a bit on that seeking arrangements game that you were talking about, where you pay the subscription, but you kind of you talk to them, but then you don't end up sugaring them, but you sleep with them. I think that might put yourself in a compromised position, where if one gets bitter that you didn't throw some sugar her way, she might call the authorities on you. And I think that's kind of a dangerous game you're playing with fire, if you say.
Well, I mean, the name of my channel is literally Playing with Fire, so you
yeah, I mean, like if you want to play with risk, it's up to you. But it's just kind of.
I mean, the risk on that is still insanely small, but it's probably higher than banging a chick from a bar.
Yeah, yeah, and if you've done the research and have made an informed decision, that is on you. I disagree that every single person is going to try to press charges on you, because frankly, a lot of these women just don't care about you if they're not attracted to you. They just move on with their day and live their lives.
But do you agree that, okay, maybe this doesn't apply to you per se, but in the Blackpill community in general, which you are a part of, there's a lot of fear mongering?
I would say yes, there's a lot of fear mongering. That you see a lot of guys saying it's over for this, but a lot of these guys do have valid experiences that have warped their perception of the whole world. Like a lot of guys do have allegations. A lot of guys have been divorced. A lot of guys have had these sorts of issues. So
I think that's the key word you used right there, is warped.
Yeah, it's like their limited world experience is that, so they're going to express that.
All right. But what I see as problematic is for someone who maybe goes into it with more of a blank slate. They're like, maybe they just like something you say about something else, and they start watching your channel, and they start, getting hit with like, if you're not Chad, it's over. Chicks nowadays, there's no good chicks in the West. They're all just, a bunch of like fucking Stacy whores and whatnot. And
I don't think that's the message I give out personally, but if
I don't think it is either, but I do see it as very common in the Blackpill community in general.
Yeah, so I can't speak for other people. I can't white knight for them, defend them. If you want to address their concerns, you can have them on, because you have been having a lot of people on the debates, and they have been entertaining.
No, they definitely have been. I mean, I think I'm gonna probably chill out on debating Blackpillers, because I feel like I beat that horse to death. So I'm probably going to take a break from that and might debate some other people. I do enjoy the debates, but I want to take a break from debating Blackpills, because I feel like there's
a lot of fatigue for sure. Yeah.
it's just the same thing over and over and over again. I mean, those are the big things I want to go through. Would you mind if I give you a little feedback or advice, some friendly advice?
Yeah. I'll take the feedback. You gave me the feedback on my language sounding shaming towards the incels, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. So this isn't my honest opinion about you. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'll just say, I think.
Yeah. Let's fire away, man. Fire away.
I think you're a nice kid.
No, just say fuck you. Don't even say I'm a nice kid.
I'm not going to say fuck you. No, I do think you're a legitimately nice guy. But at the same time, I do think you have a little bit of a habit of being somewhat two-faced. And I think that it is going to piss off a lot of content creators in the future that you're going to collaborate with. As your channel grows, you're going to have more and more people on, and most of them are not going to be as like laissez-faire and fuck it as me. I think a lot of them will just not fuck with you when they go on your stream and they spend 3 hours there, and then as soon as they leave, they're being shit talked and all of that stuff. And especially if there's like also you're making allegations against them. Again, most of them are not going to have the same reaction as I am. So I would say that that's something you probably want to work on in the future. And then also, if your channel, like you said, it is biased, I would say be more conscious of the bias. Just own it completely. Be like, yeah, we are a Blackpill channel. I have this bias and this bias. I think PUAs are full of shit, or most PUAs are full of shit. Don't kind of pretend to take a middle ground when that's not really the case.
Thanks for the feedback, man.
Yeah, for sure. Those are all the things I wanted to go through. Is there anything you want to go through?
No, I think you said a lot on my stream. You stayed more than you needed to, answered a lot of questions. I appreciate this little saga. Normally the third movie of the trilogy sucks, but it sounds like we had a good ending here.
Yeah, man. No, I mean, yeah. I wish you the best, dude. I mean, hopefully your channel grows. I do think that you're a little bit more moderate as it comes with Blackpillers, and that's a good thing because there's a lot of crazy shit that's being said in the Blackpill community. I also will give you credit because you're willing to come on. I think a lot of Blackpillers I see, they talk a lot of massive shit in the comments, and then I'm like, yo, man, come on for a stream. They always use the same excuse. Oh, I don't have enough time. I was like, bro, you just spent 3 hours watching my live.
I'm like, dude, like you got time. If you're watching the stream, you got time. My channel, like I run it while having classes and labs all the time. This is a hobby of mine. I'll admit that. And if I have time to do it, like most people have time to do it. So
Yeah.
that's just kind of how I see it. But I do respect those guys hopping in my channel.
Yeah. Do you wanna plug your channel?
Yeah. It is The Vital Message. And I'm looking for my next guest. I'm thinking I've reached out to a couple guys that are thinking of on. It's not going to be about PUAs next time. And I do interview style content, and then I open the panel. So we start with the piece, and then we have war. That's kind of the tempo of my channel.
Yeah. But yeah, like my big piece of feedback would be, I think that's good. Like, yeah, conflict, it's good. I'm not saying there's something wrong with that. But like express it to the person while they're on. Like, don't wait until they get off, because that's gonna rub a lot of people the wrong way.
Yeah. Do you have, if you don't mind, could you email me some of the things that I did that like specifically? Because earlier the stream you said that my stances were consistent, but other people that came on were like kind of like out of left field that could have been said when I was the interviewer.
Sorry, say that again.
Because earlier in the stream you said that during the shit talking or reflection part of it, that you said that I was consistent with kind of what I said on stream with you during the interview part, and it was my guests that were kind of laying the shit talking on you. If you don't mind, if you can note like a few things.
Yeah, I'll send you the
a list specifically, just so I can compare notes right there.
Yeah, I have my notes, so I'll just forward you the notes that I had for this podcast.
All right, cheers.
Cheers. Another thing, probably not a good idea to call them dating roaches all the time.
Oh, it's fun. Yeah, it's fun to call them dating roaches, man. It's controversy, and like you've shown that you're not like fully on the dating roach thing because you don't believe in a universal solution to a unique problem.
Well, I'm glad I'm not a full roach. I'm just a half a roach.
I mean, it's like I only see the antennae for our little scenario with the flagged videos and the Infield fiasco. So it might be like a little antenna poking out, but I don't see the full body.
Wait, the full body? What?
Of the roach.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm glad I just have an antenna on my face. That's a good start. Maybe the body will grow later. We'll see.
The choice is yours.
we got actually a few Blackpillers, I think, in the chat. So if they want to come on, I'll happily debate them. I know you mentioned you got to go, Caduceus, so I'm not gonna keep you. But yeah, is there anything you want to say before you go?
No. I just want to thank you for coming on my show. Also, like having a discussion, explaining your piece, like where you stand, so then we can actually have common ground and discuss things. I also want to thank your chat for showing up to my stream. Made it entertaining to see all your people there. We had quite the, I would say we had quite the 3-part epic. So
yeah, it was. Okay, man, cool. Yeah. I'm just gonna take some questions, maybe debate some other people. But yeah, man, thanks for coming on.
Hey, cheers. Have a good night.
Take care. All right. So yeah, I'm gonna go through some comments. If anyone else wants to come on to debate, then we can do it. We got Hold the Truth hostage. He's one of the shit talkers, so I would love to see him come on. Hopefully he does. He doesn't bitch out. All right. Someone said, Sean P, please take me. Okay, Sean, can you quickly sum up in the chat what you want to discuss or what you want to debate? And then I will someone said, okay, can we talk bad about it now that he's not here? Well, I'm just kidding. Uh, this guy's just spazzing out. Alex, join the greater pill. Be saved, my son. I find it funny that a lot of these guys just don't know that you can turn the caps lock key off. Yeah. Anyway, so let me put the link in the chat, and then we'll just do a little bit of I guess our round robin and debate some random people. Okay, let me get the link. Okay. There we go. That's the link. So anyone who wants to debate, let's do it. We'll go for another half an hour or so. Get this guy 100K subs. Yeah, please do. Someone said, I'm interested talking about my transition from Blackpill as well. Okay, cool. That'll be a very interesting discussion. So yeah, I put the link in the chat, so come on. Okay, we got Sean P, so let's see what he's about. What's up?
What's up, man? How's it going?
Pretty good, pretty good. What's going on?
Not much, man. Yeah, I'm not gonna be as intense as the last guy, so I'll just keep it short, I guess. But
okay,
yeah, mainly, you know, I do kind of side with the Blackpill a little bit. I'm not an incel by any means, but I have noticed that, you know, as I tend to improve my looks, like I tend to get much better results. So could you maybe like talk a little bit more about the PUA community, kind of like shying away from talking about looks, and just how maybe if they could focus more on, you know, improving looks, whether it's through like, you know, Botox or even surgery, because I know the Blackpill is like really into getting surgery, and I know it's a little extreme, but you know, celebrities do it all the time. So could you maybe speak on that a little bit? Yeah.
Sure. I think the PUA community did itself a big disservice by saying looks don't matter. I never bought into that. I think looks definitely help. And yeah, as you get better looking, as you improve your SMV, you will have better results with women. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that game doesn't exist either. I think they're both, you know, very complementary. So, you know, I think the whole surgery thing is a little bit blown out of proportion in the Blackpill community, especially like not all surgeries are equal. Some of them are much more minor than others. But, you know, I have heard multiple stories of guys who are like, yeah, you know, I'm doing the height increasing surgery, which is a very, very serious operation. Like if you do that, you're like a cripple for 6 months. That's like very serious. So, you know, like with that stuff, I would say hold off on that because that's just like insanity, in my opinion. But, you know, if you're deformed or something like that, then yeah. But I think there's other things you can do that are more not as severe, but will still help you aside from surgery. Like you go to the gym, you can, you know, maximize your style. You can, you know, do a hair transplant if you're losing hair like me. You can do, which I guess is technically a surgery, but not really. You could do, you know, I've even heard of guys doing like taking a hair transplant for their beard. Like if you have a hard time growing out a beard, and as you put on muscle, your face will actually look a little bit better. Also, as you cut body fat, so there are other things you can do besides surgeries. But yeah, I'm a big fan of maximizing your looks and optimizing your SMV. And Botox could be an option if you have crow's feet. I think that's also a legit option. But yeah, I guess that's kind of like my take on that. Like focus on maximizing your game and maximizing your looks.
Okay, yeah, that's a good answer. So like, you think online dating has like significant? Because I feel like it really has. It's increased like the minimum threshold that women have for looks, in my opinion. And I know people say like, oh, well, if you do game in real life, it's different. But if you really think about it, it's the same women that are online that are in real life. So, you know, they have that option of going online at any time. So I feel like inside their head, they know, oh, like I don't have to accept this guy. I could go online and get 100 other guys way better looking than this guy. So what do you think can be done about that? Or maybe
yeah, I mean, I think there's an element of truth to that. There's a saying, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer as a result of technology, largely. And I think the same thing has been going on with pussy as a result of technology. So it's never been a better time to be, at least in terms of getting laid, as like, you know, celebrity or top 0.1%er. Those guys are getting laid more than they've ever have in the history of time. But the bottom 50% are on average getting laid less than they ever have in the history of time, right? Because, you know, pussy, quote unquote, is a finite resource. What can be done about that? You're limited. You can move to a different country where the marketplace is different. That's one option. The option that I've personally chosen is focusing on maximizing my SMV as much as possible to stay ahead of the bell curve. But I think those are the big options. Is you can get a girlfriend. I guess you can settle down. You can move to a different country where the bar to entry is a lot lower, right? Because a guy who's not getting any matches in America can go to Colombia and get a lot of matches with the same profile. Or you can keep optimizing and improving your SMV to keep up ahead of the bell curve. I think those are really your options.
All right, cool. Yeah, I mean I guess that's it for me. I mean, I don't really have much to argue about with you. I just wanted your take on it. So I would show my camera, but this is going to be archived, right? So I don't want to like.
Yeah, no, it's all good, man. No,
sorry. I mean, I normally would. I don't be all like, weird and shit, but
it's okay, man. No
cool.
worries.
Well, thanks, Alex. Yeah, you
right.
have a good night, man.
Take care, buddy. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.
All right, let's bring on someone named X Blackpill. What's up, man?
Hey, Alex, can you hear me?
I can.
Awesome. So I guess I'll give you a bit of background about myself. I guess I would fall in the same category as Indian PE because I am an Indian living in India, and I fell into the black pill kind of from the red pill. So when I figured out that the red pill was a thing, then I started to think about how my looks affect certain things, and then I found out about the black pill. And what led me out of it essentially was the fact that I just started doing cold approach, right? Because at one point I just figured that I might as well try it. And when I started to try it, I realized that it wasn't like I had a lot of success with women, but it was that, overall, I realized that I was making it out to be something that it wasn't, if that makes sense. Like, I got a lot more positive reactions and a lot more just kind of neutral reactions, right? So like the guy previously was talking about how there's a chance of getting me too'd, but I just found that to be completely unfounded because the worst reaction I ever got was a girl just said, "Don't talk to me, please."
Yeah, like I've done tens of thousands of approaches and I've never had an issue. Like the worst reaction I've also gotten with something along the lines of that, like, "Hey, please leave me alone." Like that's the worst reaction
Yeah.
I've gotten out of 10,000. So basically, you're saying that you kind of believed in a lot of the black pill ideas, and then you went out and you tested in the real world and you did some cold approaches, and you realized that a lot of this stuff wasn't really true. Is
Oh
that correct?
yeah, and according to the black pill, I would be categorized as, I don't know, I'm 5'6", right? And I'm slightly overweight, so I'm not the best looking guy, but I'm okay, right? And according to the black pill, I would just consider myself a 3. But when I go out and talk to women, and when they do, I mean, my leg count is modest, like it's lower, I would say, than most guys in the US. It's like about 7 or 8. But the girls I have been with, they've all said that they like me and they find me attractive, right? So according to the black pill, that this shouldn't be the case, but clearly it's not true.
Right. Someone said this comment. Wow. So actually testing stuff instead of just theorizing endlessly can some bad stuff. Who would have guessed?
Yeah, yeah. Who
I
would
mean,
have guessed?
that's really good to hear, man. I mean, I'm really glad you came on and you shared this story because I think it can give a lot of guys hope. And yeah, it is sad when guys, they just feel like they have no hope. They're like, "Oh, I'm not a giga chad. I'm fucked." Right? That kind of fucking
Yeah. Yeah, and just sorry, if you have any questions, you can let me know about my experience. But just to wrap up, like what I found the most useful from your content and John Anthony, and just the kind of real coaches, I would say, is not the kind of I would say like the other coaches like RSD and stuff. They would completely minimize the effect of looks. I don't think you guys have done that. Like you give a lot more of a realistic take on it, and and in a way I just don't care as much. Like I have what I have, and I have the cards that that I've been dealt with, and if I try enough, I've got I mean, I consider any man quote unquote sexually successful if you've been with just one woman at least, right? Because in biological terms, you that would have created a child. So if you get, as long as you're not a virgin, at some level you realize that you can repeat the success you've had, and it doesn't matter if some quote unquote Chad or Tyrone can do better than you. All that matters is that you can improve your odds, and that's pretty much it. That's all that's in your control.
Yeah, man, I agree. You can only do so much. I mean, you can maximize your SMV, you can maximize your game, but at the end of the day, only so many things are within your control.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's all
cool,
I
man.
have, man.
Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it, man.
No worries.
All right, we got two more people that want to come on. We're just going to go through them in rapid fire. I'm not sure what they want to discuss or debate, but we'll find out. Let's bring on Chris Case. What's up, dude? Yo, what's up, dude?
Oh, what's up? How are you?
Good. How's it going?
Going good. So I got a quick question. What's your kind of thoughts on this? So I'll say from my background, I started off kind of Blackpill, but now I'm starting to know about more game. And honestly, for the most part, I have kind of different. I'm kind of 50-50 with this whole thing. But in general, what I noticed when I started implementing more game, going out more often, and just using online, I kind of noticed that like there's obviously differences in the outcome that certain people have. Obviously, we look at just in general, taller, maybe white, more good-looking people with the same game probably going to get more bang for their buck for the same type of game, right? But even if that's true, having some level of game for me has helped at least somewhat. So I'm trying to see at what point do you think there's diminishing returns for certain people? Like I'm seeing, like I'm implementing, you're texting stuff, and I'm thinking that sure I can implement them, but I feel like the girls that I'm getting, the ROI is not there compared to another guy, right? So I'm trying to see what's your opinion on like the ROI for certain people. It's even worth it for some people to pay for, get better pictures compared to other people, knowing that like, they could just take cell phone pictures and they'd be fine with it. Like, what is the ROI, and is it even worth it for some people?
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, sure. So, of course, it is going to be like, let's say, a guy who is objectively a 9 versus a guy who's objectively a 5. They both learn game. The guy who's objectively a 9 will get better results than the guy who's a 5, even if their game are the same, given the volume being even, right? So, what the guy who's a 5, he wants to get the same results as the guy who's a 9. He's going to have to compensate for it by doing much more volume, right? It just kind of is what it is. However, game at the end of the day, I think is about optimizing, improving your ability to sleep with a girl without spending money on it. And game will help you do that, right? Like it will help you improve your ability. Now, do I think there's some kind of cutoff point for where you're like too ugly to even bother with game? I don't know. I think that's a decision every person has to make based on their financial situation, their goals. I mean, taking photos shouldn't really be that expensive. You can get your friends to do it. You can get a family member to do it. So you can get a really quality photo shoot for free. So that shouldn't be an issue. Tinder Gold costs like $30 a month. That shouldn't be an issue. My YouTube videos are free, so you can get a lot of value from that. So I don't really think there needs to be a big cost to like learning game and improving your, whatever your outcomes like that. Worst case scenario, you buy my product, $169. If you can't afford that, then you have bigger problems, I think, in life. So I think everyone should try, honestly. But how far they want to go is just, again, it's going to depend on their goals and their situation.
I mean, do you think like, for example, in my case, shorter side 5'5", typically getting around 5s and unders. Let's say you want to, at the end, you just want to go for an LTR for like a 6, 7. Do you think that's even possible? Kind of even if you are doing high volume, I feel like is the ROI even worth it? Just because again, a lot of the times you have to do dates, you gotta,
How badly? It just depends. How badly do you want that LTR? Is it something that's really important to you, or is it something that's inconsequential to you?
Interesting.
That it depends. Like for example, you can take bodybuilding, right? How important is it for you to be top 8% or for you to be a professional bodybuilder? Well, if it's not really that important, then I would say it's not worth it because it's a big commitment. But if it's really important to you, then it's probably worth it, right? So it just depends on how important it is to you. For me, having a good sex life and being able to get girls that I want is very important to me. So I'm willing to do, what it takes. I don't think it takes that much. Like, I don't think I have to do anything that unreasonable. I still have a lot of time for other shit. So it's not like I'm sacrificing my life. For you, if you said you were 5'5", right?
Yep, 5'5", yeah.
Okay, and your goal is to get an LTR with a 6. I mean, as long as that's something that's moderately important to you, then I would say it is worth it. I don't think the cost is going to be that bad. I don't think you're going to have to spend maybe $100, $200 on it on dates.
I think it's more so like time.
Yeah, you're gonna
volume.
Yeah, you're gonna spend some time on it, but what are you do? What else are you working on? Like, what are you so busy with in your life? Like, do you have?
I mean,
are you really
I'm
successful?
in medical school, so
okay, so you're trying to become a doctor.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I think that. Well, I know medical school is insanely time consuming, so I think actually for you, it's different than most people because I know medical school is like really fucking time consuming. Is it worth it? I don't know. It also comes down to how fast are you at studying? How much free time do you have? How much time do you want to spend with your family? How much time do you want to spend pursuing your other passions? I think it's a very personal question. I don't think it's going to be that insanely hard for you to get into an LTR with a 6. That's a very reasonable goal. But whether you're so busy with med school and with all the other things you're doing that you don't have time right now, I don't know. That's a question that only you can answer.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that's reasonable. Yeah. Thanks again for the bringing me on.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. All right. I think we got one more person on, and I think there was someone in the chat who wanted to come on. Let me see. Adam C, debate me. Why are you running? Well, because I don't even see you in the chat, in behind the screen. So I'm going to post the link for you again, Adam. You have to actually click on the link. I know it's pretty crazy. It doesn't do it for you, but you got to click on this link, and then you go backstage, and then I will have you on. All right. Let me add David. What's up, dude?
Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me?
Yeah, what's up, dude?
Hey, question. I have a few questions. Am I coming in clear?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, perfect. So how would you say, so you're basically your expertise looking at your content is primarily online dating, correct? And cold approach.
Yeah, primarily. Yeah.
So how would you say the landscape, the difficulty, the just general enjoyment of doing online dating and cold approaching, how would you say it's evolved over the last 10 years? Would you say it's gotten difficult? Would you say it's gotten more competitive, more unpleasant, more toxic, most men? Or would you say it's gotten better or stayed the same?
I would say it's got.
The right answer.
Yeah, I would say. No, I'm just thinking about it. I'm also reading the chat, so I'm like multitasking. I'm not that good at it. I think it's definitely gotten more competitive. I said that with the person two before you. I was saying that, yes, it has gotten more competitive. And I've said that in other videos. So, yes, it has gotten more competitive. But, hey,
No.
Sorry. Let me just very quickly address this, and then we'll go back to our discussion. So, Mr. Lucario, thank you, man. I really appreciate it. And Uncle Jay, Alex is scared. Dude, I literally posted the link in the chat. Come on. Like, I don't see you backstage. Okay, go ahead, man.
Okay, so that's a nice way to put it. You said it's got more competitive. I didn't say just more competitive. Has it gotten more toxic? More guys, like a guy approaching a bunch of girls now versus 10 years ago, is he more likely to get worse response? Let's say an average looking guy, okay? Is he more likely to get more standoffish, more contentious responses from American women today or 10 years ago? What have you noticed? Since I know you're an expert at this, I'm sure you've been cold approaching quite a bit the last decade.
Yeah, I think so. I think a little bit it has, but I think that has to do with the competitiveness. So, for example, because it's more competitive, that means more guys are approaching girls. And so by the time you approach a girl, she's been approached 5 times. So she's more likely to be standoffish. So I think the crux of the issue lies in the fact that it's more competitive. But I think a side effect is that, yes, girls are a little bit more standoffish on average nowadays.
Agreed. And it's more than that. It's also that the access today than 10 years, rather as opposed to 10 years ago, is exponentially higher. Agreed?
What do you mean by that?
Access that women have to men today versus say 10 years ago.
Well, yeah, I mean,
the average women. I'm sure there were some girls doing online dating 10 years ago, but it wasn't as ubiquitous as it is today.
Yeah, I mean, I think again, like, kind of goes back
and social media. Sorry.
Yeah, kind of goes back to the point I was making is like the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. So if you're like an Elon Musk or you're like at the top in terms of money, it's never actually been easier for you to make money because now with technology, you can diverge into a whole bunch of industries. You don't have any barriers to entry. Well, on the same token, if you're like a let's say like an A-list celebrity, right? Like let's say you're an A-list celebrity 30 years ago. How would you meet girls? Well, maybe they would recognize you when you would go out. Maybe you would get some fan mail. But you were somewhat limited by the technology of the time. Nowadays, you have your Instagram. You have hundreds of girls sliding in your DMs. You have a pussy coordinator. I'm not even making this up. Like celebrities actually have this. And he just like orders girls to your house like Domino's Pizza. So if you're an A-list celebrity, you're getting more pussy now potentially than you ever could in a period of time, right? But pussy is somewhat of a finite resource. So, you know, that does leave out a lot of the guys at the bottom. So, yeah, I do think that for a lot of guys, it has gotten worse, but it's not for all guys. For some guys, it's actually gotten better. But those are the guys, they're not on this channel. They're not watching YouTube videos.
For a tiny percentage of guys, it's gotten better.
Exactly.
Way less than 10%. And for everyone else, it's gotten worse to completely untenable, completely almost a moot point. Like say the bottom 50% of dudes, they basically have to grind, you know, they have to grind for scraps.
I don't think it's that bad. I mean, I think it's gotten more competitive, but I don't think it's
I'm talking specifically for online dating and just cold approaching. I'm not talking about social circle and other ways of doing it. That's totally different. Yeah.
No, I don't do social circles, so I don't like all my social circle is my bunch of dudes who are also trying to get laid. So
you think the bottom 50% guys, because all the data from online would prove you wrong, would say that the bottom 50% of dudes are getting virtually no matches, getting like 1% of the women are matching with the bottom 50%.
Yeah. So let me.
They're almost invisible.
Yeah, so let me finish my point. So I guess I'm not in the bottom 50%, definitely not. I'm probably in the top, I don't know, top 20%. I'm definitely not in the top 1%, but I'm probably top 20% of dudes, maybe top 30%, something like that. So I know I can only speak from my experience and the experience of my clients. I will say this, that for me, yes, it has gotten a little harder. That is true, but it's definitely not impossible. I'm definitely not like grinding it out for scraps. That's the first
I said bottom 50%, not you.
Yeah. Okay, bottom 50%. So I have clients who are quote unquote in the bottom 50%. They said that yes, it has gone harder. And you have to basically, if you want to still get results, the kind of results you were getting, you have to kind of adapt with the times and keep optimizing your profile and keep optimizing your cold approach strategy and all of that. So for example, the profile that might have gotten you one lay a week 10 years ago is not going to get you anything nowadays. You have to create a much better profile to still get that 1 week ago, to get that one lay a week, basically.
All right, I'm going to ignore that to say that you honestly believe you can get a bottom 50% guy to change his profile and get one lay a week or one lay a month.
Well, that's not what I said, though. That's not what I said.
Well, you said that to get that, you're implying that by saying to get that quote unquote one lay a week, it's more difficult, but it's still possible.
Yeah,
not word for word.
Yeah, I think for most guys, unless they are like severely deformed or something like that, I think for most guys it is possible to get maybe like let's say like 2 lays a month. I think that is doable if they're willing to put in the time and effort. Yeah, I do think it's doable for most guys. I don't think that's an unreasonable goal. I've had multiple clients who haven't gotten laid in 3-4 months, and now they're getting they're not crushing it. They're not banging 10s, but they're banging decent chicks. I'm banging 2 of them, 3 of them a month. Yeah, so I do think that's doable for a lot of guys if they're willing to do the work.
All right. Well, I would say this, and obviously you could say, oh, I have all these clients. One's in a wheelchair, one is in a coma, and they're getting laid left and right.
But that's not what that's not what I said.
Obviously, I'm being hyperbolic. Obviously. Right, I'm just saying, if you're gonna say that you believe that you can, or someone else, maybe some other coach you could recommend. But if you think that it's possible in 2022 for a majority of guys, that means more than 50% could go online, and if they tweak their profile or whatever, they could right now, if they follow your advice, and let's say over the next month, go online or whatever, and get two lays with a 5 or better, an average or better woman per month. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, I think that
These are quantifiable, numerical, statements.
Yeah, I think that's a realistic goal that most guys can accomplish. I don't think that's some like crazy shit that's like impossible. They might have to diversify amongst different dating apps, and they might have to do some cold approach if they're not getting enough matches. But if they got the volume coming in, yeah, that is doable.
Okay, well, people could listen to that and believe what they want. I personally don't believe it, but whatever. Now,
what is your wait? Hang on. What is that statement based on? Like, why do you not believe it?
Well, based on the data. The data suggests that the data is showing matches. The guys that get the matches, the guys that get the dates, they have this. It's specifically for Tinder.
Can you reference the study or what?
I'd have to look at the website, but it would show a woman, and it would show her number of swipes, and it would kind of funnel down to, it would say, all right, over the course of this year, she swiped, 3,000 times. She matched or she swiped right this number of times, and sort of like a funnel. And then it goes down to casual hookups, to relationships, et cetera, showing what happened, what transpired over that year of online dating. So I forgot what the website is.
It looks at it from a girl's perspective, right?
Yeah, and then it has one for a guy's perspective, and it has several of these kind of profiles, these surveys done.
So how do you know that most of the guys that the girl is going through, that the guys' profiles don't completely suck balls? Because I've done many.
How do you know they do?
Well, I'm going to explain that right now, because I've done many experiments where we've swiped as girls. I did a live swipe where I took a girl that I was like banged, and we went through her Tinder, and 95% of the male profiles I saw sucked balls. So I know from what the research I've done that vast majority of profiles on Tinder completely suck, and that problem is exacerbated by most guys being super cringe in the first few messages.
Well, that's also what is that called, the no Scotsman fallacy, where you say, hey, well, all these guys have horrible results because they didn't buy my product and have an amazing profile.
I'm not saying anything about my product. They don't have to buy my product. I don't care if they buy my product.
Well, all these guys, all the guys in the bottom 50% that are invisible, it's not because of their height or their bone structure or anything, or their age or any of that.
That's
it has
part
to
of
do
the
with
reason.
having a crappy. That is the reason. That's 99% of the reason.
But how do you know it's 99%? How do you know it's not 95% of them have a shitty profile? Have you ever swiped?
Obviously, that number is obviously I don't know what that number is, but I'm just saying
obviously
majority
you pull that
of the
number right out of your ass, right?
Of course.
Okay.
Anybody that gives an exact number, I'm just saying the majority of the reason has to do with
how do you know that?
Your looks, your race, your age, because they've done countless experiments online based on one person. You give them one age, he'll get certain results. Who give them a different age, different results. They've done that. They've done studies where they do one guy, they would put his height as 5'4", 5'10", 6'4". So it shows the correlation between all these matches and all this stuff versus nothing. And these are not little tweaks. These are the exact same profile.
No one's saying that there's no correlation there. Of course, there's a correlation between height and number of matches you're going to get. But what I am saying
is damn near a 1-to-1.
Okay, that number again is straight out of your ass. But what I'm saying is I have done swiping with a girl, like live on video. And you don't even have to take my feedback forward. You can listen to her reaction. And it's, this profile sucks, this profile sucks. And then she gives the reasons why that profile sucks. So it was something between like 90-95% of the profiles we saw completely sucked balls. Like those guys, some of those guys were actually pretty good looking, but their profiles just completely sucked. So I'm not saying that, being short is not affecting your results. Of course that it is. But also a big part of it is the fact that a lot of guys have really shitty profiles and don't know what they're doing.
I agree with that. I agree. A lot of guys probably have suboptimal profiles, but that doesn't mean if they optimize it that they're going to get this dramatic explosion in results from nothing to 2 decently looking girls a month. That I don't know if you understand that, but
Two
that's a
decently
huge
looking girls a
difference.
month is not that crazy of a goal.
From Tinder, I would say it is from Tinder from a guy that goes from absolutely nothing, from
No, I
pretty
said,
much
I said
bottom
from
80%
I
dude.
said from a combination of all dating apps and cold approach.
Well, the cold approach is kind of a wild horse because it's like, what are you approaching 1,000 people a day? Are you approaching 80-year-old grandmas? I mean, it's like that's kind of a
Well, we're
that
talking
doesn't
about
mean much.
the parameters were fives and above, so grandma wouldn't qualify as a
Okay,
five.
well, we're going off on a little bit of a tangent. How about this? You already mentioned that in the last 10 years, things have gotten worse. Let's just make a simple term for it. What do you
Right.
think is going to happen over the next 10 years? Do you think things are going to get better for the average man?
No, I think the trend is going to keep going.
Okay. So I'm glad you said that. So you think that you're effectively saying by saying that it's just going to get worse and worse and the options are going to get harder. It's going to get more strict. The say the 6 foot requirement is going to get stricter and stricter. I think, matter of fact, I think they did like a video showing that women that selected height ranges, not a video, but a study. They put out a study chart from Bumble. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay, it's whatever. I think Rolo posted it on his Instagram. Maybe you don't watch him. Anyway,
No,
so
I do.
okay, cool. So all I'm just saying is that you're effectively saying you have your business revolved around a market that's just going to get worse and worse and worse. It's almost like you're invested in in the the typewriter industry in the 90s. Like it's like this industry is just going to get worse and worse and worse if for the average dude in America. But I'll tell you what the real solution is for the average dude in America. Not tweaking their profile.
Moving to a different country.
Okay. Oh man, you must have read my mind.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. Yeah, moving to a different country.
Not necessarily moving. You can travel. You don't have to move there full time. You could just travel around. Sort of like your good buddy John Anthony. He went to Brazil, but Brazil's no different, right? I'm sure it's not any easier over there. I'm sure it isn't.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway, I'm not against people traveling to other places. I've talked about multiple times. I have many travel blogs, and I've done Colombia breakdowns, Poland breakdowns. So yeah, I think it's great to travel. If you optimize your profile and you travel, you're going to get even better results. So why not do both things at the same time?
No, absolutely, absolutely. I'm just saying that I'm over here looking at the trends. I'm over here looking at the industries. Okay, I don't invest in oil companies when I know oil vehicles are going to damn near get banned worldwide by 2050.
Well, you got to adapt with the times. And I'm going to have to. Yeah, I'm not going to keep my product or my content exactly the same 5-10 years from now. I'm obviously going to change it significantly. I'm sure there's going to be new dating apps. There's going to be new social media platforms. There's going to be, new movements and all of that. And I have to adapt to it. So you got to adapt. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember watching a video of a buddy of yours. What's his name? Kevin Ray Wilder, right? And him and his buddy, Coach White, had a little bit of a falling out.
Yes.
When they came here to the U.S. And he was wondering, hey, maybe this actually proved the black pill, right? What do you think about that?
I don't see how it proved the black pill. It just sounds like one guy wasn't as good as he claimed to be.
But he was doing just fine when he was in Southeast Asia. And then for whatever reason, he comes to America and dude turns into an incel.
I don't see how that. No, but no one is denying. I'm fully in agreement that it's a lot easier in Southeast Asia. It's called sexual arbitrage. So basically, when you travel to a place like Southeast Asia or Colombia, let's say your SMV is a 6. Well, if while you're in that place, your SMV will be an 8, right? Because you take advantage of the sexual arbitrage factor. So of course, he's going to get better results in Southeast Asia. You know who else would get better results in Asia? Me, if I went there. I've never been there, but anyone.
Practically everyone.
Yeah, anyone. So, but that I don't see how that proves the black pill that looks are the only things that matter.
No. You're missing the point. I never said that
Okay,
That
but there
proves the
is a
black
common
pill.
position in the black pill community. Maybe you don't believe in it, but it is a common position.
Well, I think it's multifactorial. It's not just looks. I mean,
Yeah, me
maybe in
too.
high school, well, even in high school, status matters a lot, and that's another thing that I think you maybe you don't have expertise in it, but
And what, going to high school?
no, maximizing status,
I have,
particularly social media.
I have a little bit of experience in that. I mean, that's kind of, but I think what I'm doing is not really practical for most people because, I have a YouTube channel and I have like a big following. So, it's very easy for me to gain followers and clout and whatnot, which I don't think is something that the average person watching my channel can do.
Do you think it's practical in 2022 and going forward, not for all men, but for a decent percentage of men to, to travel max, to spend a decent amount of time, if not 12 months out of the year, several months out of the year, living in other places where, it's not such a cutthroat,
Yeah,
toxic dating market?
it really depends on their situation. Like, for example, do they have like close family ties? Are they taking care of an elderly person? Does their job require them? But if they don't have those commitments, then yeah, I think it's probably a good idea. But I think a lot of people, they're tied down with a job or they have their family and they just don't want to leave the U.S. Like I have my own reasons for not leaving the U.S., which have nothing to do with those two things. So, leaving the U.S. is not practical for a lot of people, but for the people who it is, then yeah, go ahead and do it for sure.
Obviously, I'm not, and I prefaced what I was saying by saying that obviously the vast majority of dudes can't do that. You need somebody here physically to do some certain jobs, but there are many jobs in 2022. This isn't, 1922. There's many jobs you could do remotely nowadays. And and I'm a big believer, if there's a will, there's a way. If you have enough tenacity to spend thousands of dollars on your guys' dating coach products and boot camps and whatnot,
Well,
why don't you reinvest that?
Let's just back up there for a second. I only have one product that costs $169. I don't have any boot camps. So the most money
I'm talking in general. So,
Okay.
fine. And the reason why I'm talking to you is because you have more integrity than pretty much anyone else out there, including your buddy in Brazil right now, telling people that, hey, in Brazil, it's just as easy as it's no more easier than in America.
Yeah, I see your point.
And also, so you agreed that traveling to South America just in general is going to give you an easier options.
Yeah, I've never been to Brazil, but I've been to Colombia, and it was a lot easier over there.
Okay, great. So all I'm trying to say is you've been doing YouTube for how long?
I've been on YouTube for 3.5 years, 4 years, something like that.
Okay, so 3.5, 4 years. You probably weren't talking too much about Blackpill now, were you?
I didn't even know what the Blackpill was until like 1.5 years ago.
Exactly. And a lot of people are figuring out what it is because they're having a lot of difficulty. Things are getting worse. So that's the trajectory. You're a smart guy. You don't just operate with how things are going right now. You don't invest all your money in BlackBerry when you see Apple's gobbling up all the market and Android devices.
But I'm not going to.
You see where it's going. You see where it's going. And I'll tell you where it's going to be going 5-10 years from now.
Right.
Guys are going to be travel maxing. They're not going to be giving a damn. They're not going to be hopping on these dating apps where chicks are just trying to funnel guys to their social media and to their OnlyFans.
But then in the same token, if a shitload of guys start travel maxing and a lot of guys leave the U.S., then that will create a deficit in men, and then dating apps in America will become more advantageous. I do think things usually, especially with politics and marketplace, it's like a pendulum. Like things swing like really far in one direction, and sometimes they start to go back. So we'll see if that happens. I mean, no one has a crystal ball, no one can read the future, but it would be interesting because according to that logic, if a shitload of guys just leave the U.S. because it's so hard here, well, then the U.S. will get a lot easier because there's going to be a lot less guys on the dating app, and the ratio is going to become a lot less favorable, right? So we'll see what happens, I guess. But I do got to get to the next person because we've been kind of going for a while. Is there anything else you want to say?
Yeah, no worries. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, dude. Thanks.
Wait. Just one last thing. This will be quick.
Okay.
What percentage of you would say like attraction of the whole courting process or whatever would you say and obviously I know this is a very broad statement, is quote unquote game, whatever you define it as.
Can you expand more on that question? Like, what do you mean? Like, what are you talking about? What percentage of your ability to bang a chick is game?
Correct.
Okay. It's really hard to say because there's so many factors. I would say if I had to put a number on it, I'd say maybe 50%, but it's a really impossible question to answer. Because, for example, let's say you have the best game ever, right? But the chick is, for example, I don't know, she had a really shitty day. She doesn't want to talk to anybody. And let's say you're a really good looking guy. Well, just because of that circumstance, you're not going to bang her. So I don't think there's really any way to answer that question because a lot of times for you to get laid, a lot of factors have to come together. Like you have to be the girl's type. You have to have decent game. You have to not say anything that turns her off. Logistics have to line up. She has to be in the right place, right time. So there's a lot of randomness factor to it. So I wouldn't be able to put like a number on it, and be confident in it. I think there's a lot of factors. I think game is very important. It's sort of like asking, in order to drive a car, what's more important, the engine or the transmission? Well, they're both important if you want the car to move. So, you need the game, you need the looks, you need the logistics to line up. You need a lot of factors to line up. And when I say looks, I mean, at the very least, to meet her looks cutoff, whatever her, for her not to find you repulsive, basically, physically. So a lot of factors need to line up, and it's like no way to tell which one is more important, what percentage it is.
I agree. It's kind of a dumb question, but it's funny that your buddy John Anthony in Brazil says it's at least 90% of the equation, and that he has a proven system that if you follow, he guarantees you're going to just be racking the lays up left and right with damn near any girl you want. But that's your friend. You could talk to him about that.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's some things I disagree with him on, and you can disagree with.
That's kind of fundamental, but whatever.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, man, thanks for coming on.
All right. Thanks for having
me. I like how every debate that I have always brings back to John. Okay, so we've gone for like an hour and a half. Is there anyone that really wants to debate something? Because I'm getting kind of tired. I like to call the stream. Yeah. Is there anyone that have anything? I know there's two people in the back. Can you guys maybe private message me, or maybe we can do another one of these? Yeah, maybe we can do another one of these. I could do it tomorrow night or Saturday night, and we can have more of a discussion. Let me see what you said. Debate opener. I don't know what that means. Debate opener, JT said. What does that mean? Yeah, let me bring him on super duper quick, and then yeah, let's see. We'll keep this limited to 5 minutes. So okay, what's up?
What's up, man? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. So let's just, like I mentioned, let's limit this to 5 minutes because I do gotta bounce. So what did you want to discuss?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say, yeah, big fan of the channel. I think,
thank you.
When it comes to your opener, do you still use Hey Trouble personally? Are you sending that out on a regular basis, or do you have something more effective now?
Sometimes I'm fucking around with different openers. Sometimes I do You're Just My Type with a winky face. Sometimes I do wait, what was some other ones I do? I don't know. I fuck around. I use different ones. Sometimes I do Ola Linda. So yeah, I use different ones.
I got you. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of played out now using Hey Trouble. I've had a pretty bad response using that. A lot of girls have actually called me out, and they say oh yeah, you're the third guy to tell me that.
Oh, interesting. Okay, that's
I actually made a post about this, man. I'm on your forum. I'm the guy. I made a post a while back about how you should make a text quiz too. So I was happy to see you implementing some of my ideas, man.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah, I think that was pretty cool how you did that.
Yeah, man. Thanks for the tip. Yeah, you might be right. It is getting a little played out. As the channel grows, it's only going to get more and more played out. But then if I introduce another opener, it's just going to get played out too. So it's like that type of thing. So maybe I might have to as the channel grows, it might be a little bit more vague and have the guys come up with their own openers. I don't know. We'll see. Or I'll just have to think of a new opener every month or something.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in terms of if we're gonna debate it, I think it's kind of a bad opener because you're coming from the perspective when you say Hey Trouble, then that causes her to have to defend herself that she's not trouble, and it seems counterintuitive to have her do that, right? I mean, you don't want her to be oh, I'm not trouble at all. That's How is that good in any way? You know, if
Yeah,
anything, I would say it's almost a bad opener in that sense.
Yeah, I see your point, but I would disagree with that. I would say that you're playfully challenging her and you're provoking a response. So the biggest challenge you have in the initial part of the conversation is just getting a response because the girl's getting blown up with openers. So if it's something that's provocative, there's a good chance that it will catch her attention and she'll want to almost prove to you, I'm not trouble, right? But then you got a response, right? So the first mission is accomplished, right? Because if you go with a super, like, let's say something like, hey, how's it going? Right, that doesn't provoke a response, so she doesn't feel like she has to get back to you. It's the same token when I'm like going through YouTube comments and there's like 100 comments where like, dude, I love your channel, I love your content. I'm like, oh, cool, and I just skip it. And there's one guy who's like, you're a little fucking fag, and I'm like, oh, I got a response to this guy. It provoked a response.
I get where you're coming from. It makes sense from that point, but like, I don't know. I just think it's not the best way. It's provoking her like in a bad way for her to go, oh, I'm not trouble. Like I want her to act like she's trouble, right? I mean, that's in our interest for her to be like, yeah, no, I'm trouble. Let me show you why I'm trouble, as opposed to let me show you why I'm not trouble.
Yeah,
like, not that it's that big of a deal, but I don't know. It's interesting to analyze like the psychology of why you thought that was a really solid opener to begin with. I guess that's where I'm kind of getting from.
Yeah. So let me kind of expand that real quickly. So to your point, so for example, you could be like to the girl, hey, you fat dumb slut, right? And that's very provocative, right? But then at best, at worst, she's going to block you or report you. But at best, it's going to be a very combative conversation. But I don't think Hey Trouble is nearly to that extent. It's more of like a playful challenge, right? So it's not going to be, I've had very, very, like very small percentage of the time does the girl freak out and be like, why would you say that? You're a piece of shit. It's mostly the time to respond in a playful way, like, oh, I'm not trouble, or like, oh, you're trouble. So usually the response is playful, which means to me that it's achieved its goal. That I got a response. The vibe is playful, so now I can continue. But I do think that it is getting a little played out because a lot of guys are using that. So that's a separate issue, I think. So
and I think the other problem too, a lot of guys say that shit and then they don't have anything to back it up with. Like if you're gonna say, hey, trouble, you need to be able to follow up with something after that. Like you need to give her a reason why she's trouble. You can't just be like, oh, hey, trouble, and then she's like, why am I trouble? And then the guys on the forum are like, oh shit, what do I say? Like
that is very true. That's very true. And like there's some good response. Like for example, a girl says to me, oh, why am I trouble? I just look at her photos, and if I see like there's a picture with a dog, I'll be like, oh, you're
girls with dogs are always trouble. Yeah,
no, I'll say something like, oh, your German Shepherd told me a few secrets about you, right? It's like a nonsensical answer, but
that's good.
It does the trick. But yeah, I do see your point. A lot of guys get stuck and they become overly logical, and then the whole thing blows out. So it's much more important what you say after the opener, not the actual opener itself, in my opinion.
That is true. I do agree with that. I mean, that's a good point. I mean, it's not super important. It does kind of pique your curiosity a little bit, but yeah, I don't think it's ideal. But like you said, I think I don't know. It's tough because the best opener is coming up with something like from her profile, figuring out something but that's super tough to do. And just from a logistical standpoint, like I don't have the time to look at every girl's profile and start coming up with and it's got to be kind of flirty and like interesting. You can't just pick up something from her profile and it's, like, oh, hey, that's a really cool purse you got there or something. That's a cool dress. Like that's not gonna, I wouldn't say, even though you're picking out something from her profile, that's not necessarily a good opener, so it's like super tough to do. I don't know. I think another good idea for you would be to do like a like some kind of workshop, right? Where you do like a texting workshop and you can put up a picture of a girl's photo and you do like a Zoom call and everyone's got to come up with an opener based on something to do in her profile. Yeah, something like that. Doesn't that sound like that? Because I don't know, man, you got to run through a lot of examples when you're like texting. Like even for myself, like I'm pretty good. I get pretty good results online. I got a lot of, good pictures. I'm a good looking guy. It's still, but yeah, it's still a challenge because girls are inundated with so many messages.
Yeah, man. Yeah. But yeah, man, I do got to take off. But yeah, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate your support. I appreciate the ideas. And yeah, man, I'll see you in the forums. Hello? Oh. All right. Anyway, man, thanks for coming on, bro. Okay. I don't know. He lost the audio, but yeah. Anyway, guys, we're gonna call it a stream. I think overall it was a good stream. We got through some good stuff. So everyone, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, and make sure you hit the bell for notification. All right, guys. Until next time. Peace.